Hi everyone, it's Rhonda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're brand new. Today I am doing my very first book haul of 2025. Set all these down. So with my book haul today, we are going to do a little bit of an unboxing. I have some things I got off Amazon that I haven't opened yet. And then I have a teeny tiny book haul of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. I have a few books from Half Price Books and then 2 from Target. I think, yeah, 2 from Target. So we're going to go through all those. Before I get started, I do want to talk about one of my goals for 2025, and I feel like it's appropriate to bring it up here, and that is I plan to maybe scale back my book buying, which kind of makes me sad because it's one of my favorite things to do. I love going to bookstores. I love smelling the books, touching the books, looking at the books, finding new authors, finding new books, buying books on a whim. Those are fun. I think we can all agree on that if you're watching this video. But I spent a lot of money last year buying books, and I feel like I need to not do that this year. Listen, I'm still buying books. I'm not going to say I'm never going to buy another book in my life. That's not true. I still will buy books. I am still going to do book hauls. I'm just not going to buy books from authors I know nothing about. Maybe I was influenced by a book and I've never read that author before, so I don't know if that's an author for me. So I'm not going to buy books from authors I haven't heard from. I'm going to try and borrow them from my library, or if it's a Kindle Unlimited book, I'll read it there first. And if it's a book I love and a book that I want to reread and I want to put on my bookshelf and recommend to you guys, then I will buy that book. But I'm definitely going to scale back that spending. Okay, this was a very long intro. You guys are here to see an unboxing and to go over a book haul, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, right off the bat, we're going to start with my little mini book haul. I have 5 books that I've gotten from Target and Half Price Books. And let's start with Target since it's the smallest one. Right off the bat, we have The Mystery Guest by Anita Prose. This is the second book in the Molly the Maid series. I really love the first book called, do I have it over here? It's called The Maid. Here it is. This was adorable. I love this book. It's kind of a cozy mystery. I love this book. I believe I gave it 4 stars. And this one is about Molly the maid, and she is neurodivergent. I believe she's on the spectrum. And she is a maid for this really swanky hotel. And one day she finds someone dead in the hotel room she's supposed to be cleaning, and because she's different socially, people think that because she's not acting right, she's not following the social norms, then she's the person who killed this man. So she's trying to clear her name and also try to solve this murder. Very, very cute. Loved it. Fell in love with Molly the maid. But the second book, we are continuing with her story, and I don't even know what it's about. I don't care. I love Molly. I think any main character who is on the spectrum, who is neurodivergent, for some reason, I just latch onto them, and I usually love those books. I don't know if I just find them more endearing or I'm rooting for them more just because I know that they have hurdles to overcome more than, you know, someone else. But I really enjoy books with a neurodivergent main character. Anyway, like I said, we're following Molly the maid. I'm sure there's another mystery to solve, and I've been wanting to pick this up, but it has only been available in hardback. I just really don't love hardback books, and I wish more publishers would go back to just doing paperback books or releasing them at the same time, whereas we as consumers can pick which one we want. So anyway, I've been holding off reading this and purchasing it until the paperback came out, and it just came out I think last week, and I picked it up quickly, and I cannot wait to read this one. If you love a little cozy mystery, definitely read this one and then read this one. I did read the third book. It was the Mistletoe mystery or whatever. It followed Molly the maid, but she was solving a Christmas time mystery, and it was so cute. Loved it, but can't wait to read this one. And then the next book that I got from Target is Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. This is the third book in the When in Rome series. It's following the sister of the guy in the first book, and I don't know much about this. I think these two are teachers, and I don't think they get along, so it might be a little bit of hate to love, but I can't wait to get started. The little blurb says, 2 feuding second grade teachers and neighbors find themselves teaming up in this new rivals to lovers romance from New York Times bestselling author, other rule book, blah, blah, blah. So this is definitely going to be a little bit of hate to love. Love that trope. I do enjoy Sarah Adams books for the most part. Most of her books are closed door romances. Her last book that was out, I can't remember if it was the cheat sheet or the rule book, but there was one spicy scene and she kind of contained it into one chapter. That way, if you didn't want to read that spicy scene, you can just skip that entire chapter and not miss anything in the story. And I heard that she did the same thing with this one. I'm not sure. Okay, so I just read a little author's note, and there are 2 chapters in here that are a little spicy, so she's written it in a way that you can kind of skip those chapters and you're not going to miss the story. But I do enjoy her books. Her characters are quirky and cute, and like I said, for the most part, I've really enjoyed her stories, and I can't wait to get to this one. Then I went to Half Price Books, and I was really looking for some cozy mysteries, and I'm not talking about these little mass paperback cozies. I was looking for something more mainstream, and there's a couple of authors and books I've been wanting to read, and I found them at my local Half Price Books. The first one is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson, and I've heard great things about this one. It just says, everyone in my family has killed someone. Some of us, the high achievers, have killed more than once. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but it is the truth. Some are good, others are bad, and some are just unfortunate. Have I killed someone? Yes, I have. Who was it? Let's get started. So I guess this is a little bit of a cozy murder mystery, and I have read these before. Like I said, The Maid is a little bit of a cozy mystery. I read several this past year, and I really enjoyed them, so I wanted to pick up some more to get me through, you know, this winter season, and this was one that was definitely on my radar to read. I thought I had another book by him on my physical TBR, but I don't. But he's also written a book. I think it's kind of a Orient Express retelling, so I want to read this one, and if I like it, I want to pick that one up too. So I cannot wait to read this one. And then I've heard a lot about this author, and specifically this series, and that is Richard Osman's The Thursday Murder Club. Again, this is another cozy mystery, and I heard a lot of great things about this. It's been all over BookTube and Bookstagram. I've seen this book laying around. I've always picked it up to purchase, and I always put it back. But again, I'm really getting into cozy mysteries, and I've decided to go ahead and pick it up, especially since I found it for half off. All I know about this one is it's about a group of retirees who live in a retirement village, and they get together. I don't know if it's once a week, but every so often they get together and discuss crimes that haven't been solved, unsolved murders. Well, someone dies or is murdered, and they get together to try to solve the murder. So sounds interesting and a little different. I personally love it when the main characters are older, and just because I'm getting older. But this sounds like a super good book, and again, I've heard great things. I've heard it's really good, and I cannot wait to read it. And speaking of older main characters, the next one is Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. And again, I know nothing about this book. The little blurb just says, Golden Girls meets James Bond. You got me at Golden Girls. I love the Golden Girls. It also says older women often feel invisible, but sometimes that's their secret weapon. And I think this is about a group of women who used to be assassins, maybe. Yeah, they used to be assassins for 40 years, and they've retired, and I guess they come back to take care of business, and it sounds really good. Like I said, they had me at Golden Girls. Cannot wait to read this one. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think around 6 packages that I got from Amazon that I'm going to unbox here. And let's go ahead and start with the top, which is, let's see what's inside here. Okay. Oh, okay. These are 2 fantasies I've heard good things about. First is the first book in the Legends of Besmar, and that is Blood and Steel by Helen Schuer. I don't know anything about this except people really love this series, and I've heard this author is really good. It says, with death foretold, Althea Zoltaire only has 3 years to become what she always dreamed of, being a warrior legend. Oh, cool. So it's maybe giving me Wonder Woman vibes. I don't know. But I've heard everyone really has enjoyed this one, and I wanted to pick it up. Anyway, I do love the cover. It has the shield and the sword, and there's a bloody handle, I think. I don't know. Can't wait to get to this one. And then I have is the first book of the Kingdom of Lies book, and that is A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Stacia Stark. I think that's how you pronounce her first name. This is another one I've heard great things about, and I can't remember what it's about. It says, 4 years, when I fell asleep, I dreamed of a man with blazing green eyes and a cruel smile. Ooh, this might be enemies to lovers, but I've heard both of these books are really, really good, and I've heard the series is actually phenomenal. So can't wait to read those. Okay, next package. Okay, I forgot about this book, but this is book 5 of the Boys of Tommen series. It's Taming 7. I read Binding 13 and Keeping 13, I think in the fall, and really enjoyed it. And then I have Saving 6 and Redeeming 6 to read this year, and I went ahead and got the 7th book. I don't know why. For those of you who don't know, the Boys of Tommen series is a book so far of 5 books. There's going to be more, and it's about a group of friends who go to this private high school in Ireland, and really it reminded me of a really messed up version of 90210. So really you're just following them along as you follow them through their classes in high school, and then when they get home and having to deal with the crap that they have to deal with at home that's really, really upsetting. But again, Taming 7, it's the 5th book, and I'm not sure when I'll get to this one just because I have 2 other books to read, but I have it when I'm ready. Okay, next is, oh, I can't wait to read this one. I got Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. This is the first book in the Fire and Metal series. This is the current fantasy romance darling of the moment. I know Emily Rossum, I don't know how to say her last name, but I believe she's from Scotland. And she read this back to back. She loved it so much and has been raving about it. And pretty much everyone who has read it, I've heard, has really enjoyed it. I haven't heard bad things about it. Another book I don't know anything about. Oh, the back just reads, Bee has spent the better part of her life waiting for the chance to attend the annual market hosted by the Kenta, the very same people who exiled the Alaha to live a life over the sea. A rite of passage for all young guards, she's not sure what to expect from it. But breaking a century-long peace treaty certainly isn't on her map. Neither is the encounter with an enemy soldier. Okay, so reading on, it just sounds like this is a enemies to lovers, and that's all I know. I have found reading the back of these fantasy romances tells me nothing. I end up more confused than what I was before I read it, so I usually don't know after reading the back of the book what it's about. But again, this is a book that I have heard nothing but good things about. I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about it, and it is Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. Okay, the next package is, I've got 2 books in here. Oh, okay. Okay, the next 2 books are books that I was influenced by. I think I saw a booktuber talk about how good these were, and I decided to pick them up, especially after I saw a friend of mine talk about how much she enjoyed the first book, at least, on Goodreads, and that is, and the 2 books I bought are part of the Fae Flings and Corset Strings series, and the first one is called A Rivalry of Hearts by Tassonia Odette. And then the second one is My Feral Romance. It looks like these books are following different characters, but I think these might be spicy fantasy romance books. It says 2 rival writers, 1 prestigious publishing contract, and a bargain of hearts and seduction. And then this one says, I can't read, I don't have my glasses on. A painter in need of a model, a matchmaker seeking a subject, an arrangement that will tangle their hearts. Okay, sorry, I'm reading so slow. I don't have my glasses on, and I was reading white on this really light yellow, and it was very difficult. Okay, so what little I know about these books where I've heard, I think this is set during Regency times, and I think at least with the first book, the main character enters into the Fae lands, and she drinks the Fae wine, which you're not supposed to, and she ends up making a deal with the Fae, and she barely remembers it. And so she's having to complete this bargain with the hopes of winning this publishing contract. And then I really don't know what this one is about, but I've heard they're good. This is a case of I probably should not stay up late buying books, because I probably should have just bought this first book to see if it's something I would like, because I haven't read anything by this author before. But I believe she is an indie author, and I'm going to give it a chance. All right, I had to scoot back a little bit. My next package is a box, and I have 2 books in here. Okay, so the first book I got is a YA fantasy romance called Light Lark. It is the first book, and I'm not sure the name of the series. I guess it's just a Light Lark series. But I think the third book recently came out called Wisteria, and I've heard mixed things on this. Again, it's a YA fantasy romance, so I think it's going to be a quick read. But I've heard really good things, but I've also heard some people say it's not that great. But I want to give it a chance just because it's been around for a little bit, and I've heard a lot of people rave about the rest of the series. So I want to give this one a chance. It says, just says, welcome to the centennial. Every 100 years, the island of Lightlock appears for 100 days to host a deadly game where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curse and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves and their realms, one ruler must die. Okay, so I personally love fantasy romances that have a competition, and maybe this is one I will like. Okay, so this next book I bought strictly because it's a special edition and how cool the cover is. But I got The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose, and let me scoot up a little bit. Let's look at these sprayed edges. Look how bloody and cool they are. And then you have the blood splatters in the back. And then, look, you have a, what does it say? Okay, it just says collector's editions from the vault of Geneva Rose. So you have a little case file type cover. And I picked this up. I've never read this book before. I have read Geneva Rose before in the past. I've read I read 2 of her thrillers and 1 romance. And they were all 3 stars for me. They were okay. I would kind of recommend them. But I think at least with her last one, Home is Where the Bodies Are, I think that one was just marketed to the wrong audience. I think that's more of a family drama than a thriller, and it was just okay. So all I know about this one is the female main character is a lawyer, and her husband has been accused of murder, and he's being charged with murder of his mistress. And he asks his wife to represent him, to be his lawyer. And so that's what this story is about. It sounds like an interesting plot. I think if I was that female main character, I would absolutely say no, go rot in your cell. But I want to read this one just because it sounds interesting, but I picked up the special edition because there's also drawings and pictures in here, and it's just a really cool cover. I think Geneva Rose, if anyone gets the award for the coolest covers ever, it will be her, just because Where the Bodies Are, I'm not going to get it, it's on this top shelf. It looks like a VHS tape, and that speaks to my, you know, I was a child of the 80s, and so that speaks to my heart. And then this one, I just love those bloody sprayed edges and the pictures and all the extra stuff that's in here. So hopefully this is going to be a Geneva Rose book that will get 4 stars. I've heard mixed things about this one. I do follow her on Instagram, and if you don't follow Geneva Rose on Instagram, you should. She is hilarious. Her and her husband together crack me up, and she does like these stealthy book signings where she'll go to Target and she won't ask to sign her books. She'll just kind of put her glasses on and be sneaky about it, and she's funny. So yeah, I got The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. Hopefully this is one I will like. If not, it's gonna look pretty amazing on my bookshelf next to Home is Where the Bodies Are. And then my last package is my Book of the Month package, and this video is not sponsored in any way by Book of the Month. They have no clue who I am, but I've been a member for almost a year now, and I really have enjoyed the books that I've gotten from them for the most part. If you are interested in trying them out, you can get your first book for $5. I have a link down in the description box, so if you want to click that link and sign up, you can get your first book for $5. If it's something you don't enjoy, you can cancel or pause your membership at any time. It's not hard to do. It's super easy. I tried it out, like I said, almost a year ago, and I look forward to their monthly picks every single month. And like I said, for the most part, I've enjoyed their books, and I found some really cool authors that way. But let's open this up. I think I went a little crazy this month and bought 4 books from them. Okay, oh, so when you open your box, this is what it looks like. But they sent me a little, I guess, short story for free, and it's called Garth by Kate Brody. I don't know, but I got that. All right, the first book I picked up is The Favorites by Lane Fargo, and I don't know a ton about this one except that it's been getting a lot of buzz early on. And also, I think this is about two figure skaters. I think they're like a little dance skating duo. And there was some kind of scandal 10 years ago at the Olympic Games, and then it's now present time 10 years later, and they're still dealing with it. But it says, to the world, they were a scandal, to each other, an obsession. So I think this is obviously going to be a little bit of a woman's fiction, but with a heavy romance in it. So cannot wait to read this one. I've heard a lot of buzz about it. And then the next book I got is a thriller called A Killing Cold by Kate Alice Marshall. And I haven't read anything from this author, although I do have What Lies in the Woods by her on my physical TBR. I read the synopsis and I remember thinking, oh, that sounds good, and I added it to my cart, but I can't remember what it is about now. But it says, a whirlwind romance. When Theodora Scott met Connor, wealthy, charming, and a member of a powerful Dalton family, she fell in love in an instant. 6 months later, he's brought her to Idlewood, his family's isolated winter retreat, to win over his skeptical relatives. Theo has tried to ignore the threatening messages on her phone, but she can't ignore the footprints in the snow outside the cabin window or the strange sense of familiarity she has about this place. Then in a disused cabin, disused, is that a word? Anyway, Theo finds something impossible, a photo of herself as a child, a photo taken at Idlewood. And it goes on from there. So I think that's what got me. I was like, okay, so she's in the secluded cabin with her boyfriend's family, and apparently she's been there before and does not remember. So sounds terrifying. And then I got a historical fiction called The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis. And I read The Spectacular last month in December by this author, and I really enjoyed it. She writes historical fiction that has a heavy-handed dose of mystery, which I did appreciate. I did not know that going into The Spectacular. I thought it was just going to be a historical fiction that was character-driven. So I was surprised to read that it had a pretty big plot about a mystery, and I found that very interesting. So I picked up this one, which is her newest release this year, and the blurb on this says, New York City's most glamorous party, Egypt's Valley of the Kings, two women whose lives are changed forever after one fateful night. And so this is set in two different timelines. It's set in Egypt in 1936 and then also in New York City in 1978, and their stories are connected in some way. But on the very tippy top of my bucket list is to go to Egypt and see the pyramids. And that is what really got me with this book, is it's set in Egypt and it has to do with these pyramids. So cannot wait to read this book. If you haven't read this author, I highly recommend you read The Spectacular. I really, really, truly enjoyed that one. And then the very last book I got is A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young. I read my very first Adrienne Young book called The Unmaking of June Farrow, and I really, really loved it. I did get very confused at the end. I felt like, you know those like crime drama television shows where you're in the detective's office and he has on the wall pictures of the suspects and there's yarn connecting everyone? I felt like that's what I needed for the ending of The Unmaking of June Farrow, and that's the only reason why it wasn't a 5-star, was because I was so confused at the end. But I loved the time travel aspect of that book. I loved the writing. I thought it was very beautifully written, and I could not wait to get my hands on this one. So the little blurb in this book says, in this captivating atmospheric novel, a woman investigates her twin brother's mysterious death while confronting the ghosts of her own haunted past. So I think this is just going to be another beautifully written book. I do have another book on my physical TBR that she's written, and it's called The Spells for Forgetting. And I want to get to that one sooner rather than later too, but she just writes beautifully, and I know I'm going to love this one. And then the last thing in this box is my Book of the Month bookmark, and it's got the Book of the Month logo, and then the back says pause for dramatic effect. I don't know if you can see that. But I always love getting these little bookmarks, and I do use them. All right, my friends, these are all the books in this month's book haul. It's actually a lot more than I thought it was going to be. I definitely need to scale back my book buying this year because all these books behind me on this bookshelf, and then on this bookshelves are all of the books on my physical TBR. As you can see, I do have some space for growth, but I would rather not have 2 bookshelves full of books I haven't read yet. But I have 17 books to add to those shelves, and I have a ton of books that I absolutely cannot wait to get to. I think the next book I really want to get to is for sure Beg, Borrow, or Steal. And gosh, I don't even know. I want to read all of these like yesterday. All right, but if you're still with me, please let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and if you've liked or not liked any of them. I am eager to know your opinions on some of these books. I know some of these are new releases, so if there's any book in this stack of books that I've gone through that you think I need to read ASAP, let me know, and I will definitely do my best in reading that sooner rather than later. But yeah, these are the 17 books I got. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And then while you're there, go ahead and hit that little bell notification so that you don't miss any future bookish videos. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me and watching me go through my little book mail unboxing and all that. I truly appreciate you and your support, and I will see you in the next video.